Hey everybody, Nick here. I wanted to kind of reintroduce a segment that we used to do called Philosoph Fridays, where we take maybe a part of the yoga philosophical system or a piece of yoga philosophy and kind of unpack it. Since we are a yoga studio, I'd like to kind of honor those roots of it. And so I'd like to start us off with actually what I covered. It's been over a year, I think, now since I did this. But, what I would like to start to talk about are the kleshas. And the kleshas are essentially five concepts that block us from our true selves, or block us from the capital T truth, if you will. And the first klesha is Avidya, and that's what we'll unpack today, and it essentially translates to ignorance. And of Avidya, the other four are kind of evolve, and you have Abhinivesha, which is fear. You have raga, which is our sense of attachment. You have devesha, which is our sense of aversion or repulsion to something, our inability to investigate something. And you have asmita, and asmita is essentially our ego or our sense of I-ness. And we'll talk about Avidya since it's kind of where it starts, and it's kind of the roots that spring forth this idea of things that block us from our true selves. And when I say our true selves, I kind of mean that, or I'll leave that for interpretation for you. But within yoga philosophy, really, you can say this is the Atman or Brahman, the sense of connection to the divine, our soul. Sometimes people will refer it to, though sometimes a simplification. However, Avidya in the Yoga Sutras, I think Patanjali essentially kind of presents these kind of dualities, these kind of dueling ideas, and calls them all ignorance. For example, Patanjali says something like, when we associate like or dislike as our true selves, and it can be a hard concept to kind of unpack. We're more easily able to understand something that we, maybe we don't like about someone else or ourselves or the world that we exist in as, not true or not the capital T truth. But it's also interesting to think about how maybe the things that we also like or associate with or often attach to, which is another one of the forms of ignorance, maybe not necessarily leading us towards our true selves as well. And really what the kleshas provide us the opportunity to do is kind of strip away those things in order to kind of discover what is inside of us all. And you probably hear a lot of the teachers say this all the time. Like you don't need to do anything else. You already have everything that you need inside you. Now, whether or not we have access to that all the time is the key, and that's one of the things that we do in a yoga practice is gain more and more access to that. And by really looking at avidya and the ways that we are ignorant, we are able to then begin to investigate, what we really are. And so sometimes I'll say, sometimes it's easier to associate with what we're not, the process of elimination in yoga that's called neti, or not this, not that. And it's like, I am not my thoughts, I am not my emotions, I am not the rug, all the things. And by the process of elimination, you get closer to what it is you actually are. And so by investigating, the kleshas, these five kind of forms of ignorance, then we're able to, begin to tap in a little bit easier. We're able to have access to these tools or a sense of calmness of the mind a bit easier. And so that's kind of a very brief simplification of avidya. Maybe a way to also look at it in our contemporary world is, there's a lot of things that I'm ignorant about and continue to be ignorant about that I choose not to learn about, or that I don't even know that I don't know. You don't know until you know. And, these are other forms of ignorance, and that, contempt prior to investigation, which really should be under, this devesha, which is aversion. But anyway, I think it's interesting to think about, how the philosophical system of yoga is set up to begin to kind of strip ourselves of what we think we are, so that we can, essentially lead fulfilling and full lives, no matter what the situation is, no matter what chaos may be around us. We're able to still tap into contentment, as opposed to seeking elation in order to kind of fill the void that contentment would normally reside in. So I hope this interests you. I hope that you learned something. Leave some comments, or send us some questions. We're planning to do many more of these with some of the other teachers, and it's really exciting. Thanks, everybody.